Hey everyone, welcome back to Kids Network Studios. I'm Amy Coon, AK1028, and this marks the start of the Pokemon video series. For the third time! Hey everybody, it's Amy Coon, AK1028, reporting in from Kids Network Studios. And this is my third time recording this video. This is why I don't rehearse before recording, just in case I have some complications. This is why, people. This is why! But anyways, we got Pokemon to cover. We got things to do. And I'm gonna lay down because I'm awfully tired. Alrighty. Our first Pokemon is Magmar, the Spitfire Pokemon. A fire type with weaknesses to water, ground, rock, and as a standalone, meaning if it didn't get any evolutions or pre-evolutions, Magmar is okay. I like it. It's a good fire type, but, you know, there are better fire types out there. Our next Pokemon is, of course, Pinsir, the Stag Beetle Pokemon, a bug type with weaknesses to fire, flying, rock. Pinsir has no evolutions and definitely not worth your time competitively. There are better bug types out there. Even though Pinsir's attack stat is way up there, it just doesn't have the attacks to back that up. Our next Pokemon is Tauros, the Wild Bull Pokemon, a normal type with only one weakness, fighting. Tauros has no evolution, and I thought as the Generation 5 was coming out that Bouffant was going to be Tauros' evolution. I was saddened that I found out otherwise. But, in all honesty, Tauros is still pretty good on its own. Our next Pokemon is, of course, Magikarp. Magikarp. Yes, that annoying fish Pokemon, a water type, two weaknesses, electric and grass, and in all honesty, if it didn't evolve into Gyarados, we wouldn't even think about going after a Magikarp. Gyarados, the atrocious Pokemon, a water flying type with a 4-time weakness, 2 electric attacks, with also a weakness to rock type moves. And back in Generation 1, you didn't want to mess with a Gyarados. It was seriously really powerful, and it still is to this day. Our next Pokemon is Lapras, the Transport Pokemon, a water ice type, with the weaknesses to electric, grass, fighting, and rock types. And in all honesty, Lapras is right behind Dewgong. I like Dewgong, I like Lapras, but its stats could be a little bit better. Our next Pokemon is, of course, Ditto, the Transform Pokemon, a normal type with 1 weakness, fighting, and no evolutions. And in all honesty, if you didn't need a Ditto to do your breeding with, you don't need a Ditto at all, because all it does is transform. Like Ben, transform! Or the Transformers themselves. I know, bad pun, sorry. Our next Pokemon is Porygon, the virtual Pokemon, a normal type with 1 weakness to fighting. Porygon has 2 evolutions, which we won't cover until later. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I remember playing at the slot machines on Fire Red and Leaf Green, trying to get myself a Porygon. Took me forever, finally got it. Lo and behold, I find out later, not really worth my time. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I spent all that time for nothing. I guess, in all honesty, it wasn't for nothing. I mean, it was to complete my Pokedex. Whatever. Our next Pokemon is Omanyte, a rock-water type, also known as the Spiral Pokemon. Omanyte has a 4-times weakness to grass, a weakness to electricity, and a weakness to ground-type moves. Omanyte has one evolution, Omnistar, the Spiral Pokemon, a rock-water type, same weaknesses as Omanyte. And in all honesty, there are better rock-water types out there. I'm about to cover 2 of them right now. Because our next Pokemon is Kabuto, the Selfish Pokemon. A rock-water type with a 4-times weakness to grass, with the weaknesses to electric, fighting, and ground. Of course, Kabuto has one evolution, Kabutops, a rock-water type, the Selfish Pokemon. Same weaknesses as Kabuto. And in all honesty, Kabutops I like, because he can really dish out some damage if need be. You better watch out, because I got a Kabutops that can knock you out. Our next Pokemon is Aerodactyl, the fossil Pokemon, a rock flying type. Weaknesses are water, electric, ice, and did I say rock already? I'll say rock again. And steel type moves. Since Aerodactyl has no evolutions whatsoever, it's really not... I mean, it's a good attacker and everything, but the minute a water type move hits it, it goes down in a heartbeat. Like literally, it just whoosh. There goes your Aerodactyl. Bye, Aerodactyl! Our next Pokemon is, of course, Snorlax, the sleeping Pokemon, a normal type with one weakness, fighting. Snorlax has a pre-evolution, which we won't cover until much later on. And Snorlax, as we all know, is famous for sleeping there in the middle of the road. Just sleeps, and sleeps, and sleeps. You get the idea. And this Pokemon is a beast as a defensive wall. You can't get much better than a Snorlax as your defensive wall. Like seriously, this guy's HP is like out the window. So getting a Snorlax is very, very worth your time. Our next Pokemon is Dratini, the dragon Pokemon, obviously a dragon type, with the weaknesses to ice, dragon, and fairy type moves. It has 2 evolutions. One is Dragonair, the dragon Pokemon, obviously a dragon type. Same weaknesses as Dratini. And Dratini's final evolved form is, of course, Dragonite, the dragon Pokemon, a dragon flying type with a 4-times weakness to ice. It's also weak to rock, dragon, and fairy type moves. And Dragonite, yeah. You went up against a Dragonite in Generation 1, you had a hard time beating it. Because all you had back then was ice or dragon type moves to take it out. So, Dragonite still has that huzzah that it has today from back then. And in all honesty, I now have a Dragonite. And I'm just like, see ya! when I'm battling competitively. Alright, Our next Pokemon, all the way from the Johto region. We finally made it to Johto, yay! The first Pokemon there is Chikorita, the leaf Pokemon, a grass type, with the weaknesses to fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug type moves. Chikorita has 2 evolutions. One is Bayleaf, the leaf Pokemon, a grass type, same weaknesses as Chikorita, and Chikorita's final evolved form, is Meganium, the herb Pokemon, also a grass type, also has the same weaknesses. And in all honesty, being a pure grass type, Chikorita is pretty good. But there are better pure grass types out there. I'm sorry, I love Meganium and everything, but it's just not worth it competitively. I say we finish off with the Johto starters, and our next Johto starter is Cyndaquil, the Fire Mouse Pokemon, a fire type with the weaknesses to water, ground, and rock type moves. Cyndaquil has 2 evolutions. One is Quilava, the Volcano Pokemon, a fire type, same weaknesses as Cyndaquil, and its final evolved form is Typhlosion, the Volcano Pokemon, also a fire type with the same weaknesses as Cyndaquil and Quilava. Typhlosion's a badass! I'm sorry. I finally get to say it after all this time. Typhlosion is a badass. I love Typhlosion. I seriously do. I seriously started out with a Cyndaquil first time around, and I'm just like, yes, I get my Typhlosion! Finally! It was a beast on my team. Our next Pokemon is Totodile, the Big Jaw Pokemon, a water type with 2 weaknesses, electric and grass, and it also has 2 evolutions. Croconaw, the Big Jaw Pokemon, a water type, and, of course, Feraligatr, the Big Jaw Pokemon, also a water type, and these 2 have the same weaknesses as Totodile. And I have to say, when I finally got my Totodile, yes. Because in all honesty, I love Totodile and Feraligatr. Feraligatr was just like, okay, why did I even go with Chikorita? Seriously. Feraligatr was just as good as Typhlosion. And this was the only region to date that had pure starter types across the board. What do I mean? I mean that they just had no secondary typing. Okay, we're going to stop it there. Next time we'll continue onwards with Sentret. Until next time, guys, this is Amy Kuhn, aka Kid1028, and I'm signing out from Kids Network Studios. See you guys Saturday. Bye. Hey everybody, welcome back to Kids Network Studios. I'm Amy Kuhn, aka 1028. Whew, it's time for another video, and this is video 8. Nah, alright. We're continuing onwards with our Pokemon series. Whew, and as soon as this video's over with, I'm hitting the sack. I am taking a nap. I'm tired. Alright, our first Pokemon is, of course, Sudowoodo, the imitation Pokemon, a rock type with weaknesses to water, grass, fighting, and ground type moves. Oh, it also has a little weakness to steel type moves as well. Sudowoodo has a pre-evolution that we won't cover until later, but in all honesty, since Sudowoodo is so rare, it's hard to get. But so I can't really say if it's good competitively or not. You guys will have to do your own research. Our next Pokemon is Politoed, the frog Pokemon, a water type with the weaknesses to electric and grass type moves. Politoed is the branched evolution of Poliwhirl, And if you trade a Poliwhirl while it's holding a King's Rock, you of course get your Politoed. Now, between Politoed and Poliwrath, they're both equally good, but since Poliwrath has that subtyping of fighting, it all depends on what kind of Pokemon you're looking for. Our next Pokemon is Hoppip, the Cottonweed Pokemon, a grass flying type with the 4 times the weakness to ice type moves. Hoppip also has the weaknesses to fire, poison, flying, and rock type moves. Hoppip has 2 evolutions. One is Skiploom, the Cottonweed Pokemon, a grass flying type, same weaknesses as Hoppip, and Hoppip's final evolved form is Jumpluff, the Cottonweed Pokemon, a grass flying type, same weaknesses, and in all honesty, even though these grass flying type guys are cute, they're not worth it competitively. Sorry guys, but you guys have too many weaknesses. Our next Pokemon is Aipom, the long-tail Pokemon, a normal type with 1 weakness, fighting. Aipom has 1 evolution that we can't cover quite yet, and as a standalone Pokemon, Aipom's pretty decent, but once it got its evolution, it was a whole lot better. Our next Pokemon is Sunkern, the Sea Pokemon, a grass type with weaknesses to fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug type moves. Sunkern has 1 evolution, Sunflora, the Sun Pokemon, a grass type, same weaknesses as Sunkern. And even though these Pokemon have decent moves, their HP stat is not all that great. Plus, they have so many weaknesses, you're better off getting a different type of grass Pokemon. Sorry. Our next Pokemon is Yanma, the Clear Wing Pokemon, a bug flying type with weaknesses to fire, electric, ice, flying, and a 4 times weakness to rock type moves. Yanma has 1 evolution, which we can't cover quite yet, but as a standalone, Yanma's pretty interesting. I say interesting because I've never really battled with a Yanma competitively. Our next Pokemon is, of course, Wooper, the Waterfish Pokemon, a water ground type with a 4 times weakness to grass type moves. Wooper has 1 evolution, Quagsire, the Waterfish Pokemon, also a water ground type with a 4 times weakness to grass type moves. And in all honesty, if you didn't have a Blastoise or Dugong in your lineup, Quagsire is the way to go. Because seriously, this guy only has 1 weakness, and that's grass type moves. All you have to do is equip this bad boy with an Earthquake, or Surf, or both, and you'll be dominating the competition. Alrighty, we're gonna skip those. So, our next Pokemon will be Murkrow, the Darkness Pokemon, a dark flying type with the weaknesses to electric, ice, rock, and fairy type moves. Murkrow has 1 evolution, which we can't cover quite yet, but in all honesty, I'm glad they gave Murkrow a evolution, because he just stunk. Our next Pokemon is Slowking, the Royal Pokemon, a water psychic type with the weaknesses to electric, grass, bug, ghost, and dark type moves. Slowking is the branched off evolution of Slowpoke. You give Slowpoke a King's Rock and you trade it, you get your Slowking. I've actually battled with a Slowking competitively, and I have to say, it's pretty decent. I mean, its stats are pretty good. I just wish it just had some better moves. Yeah, what can you do? Our next Pokemon is Misdreavus, the Screech Pokemon, a ghost type with the weaknesses to ghost and dark type moves. Misdreavus has one evolution in which we can't cover quite yet. As a standalone, Misdreavus is pretty good, but it gets better with its evolution. Our next Pokemon is, of course, Unown, a psychic type known as the Symbol Pokemon, with 3 weaknesses: Bug, Ghost, and Dark type moves. Now, I paused here because I have so much to say about Unown, but we have so little time, so I'm going to make it short. Do you guys remember Pokemon 3, the movie? I know I do. And I had to say, when I first saw Unown and its power, I'm like, holy crap, I want to get an Unown. I want to get an Unown, train it, and see how it does in battle. So, I get Heart Gold, years down the line, caught an Unown, saw it, only knew hidden power. I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. It only knows hidden power. Are you serious? So I went online, checked it out. Turns out, yep, we're serious. Unown can only learn one move, hidden power, and that's it. I mean, seriously, if you guys didn't need to catch this thing to complete your Pokedex, it's not worth it. It's seriously not worth it because it only learns one move. One. I mean, really? You could have done so much with Unown, yet you choose to do this? Game Freak? Come on. Alright. Now that I'm done ranting about Unown, our next Pokemon is Wobbuffet, the Patient Pokemon, a psychic type with the weaknesses to Bug, Ghost, and Dark type moves. Wobbuffet has a pre-evolution which we won't cover until later. And if you need a defensive wall, this guy is it. I mean, seriously, Wobbuffet can take a hit, and can dish it back out too. Because it can learn Counter, Miracle, and Destiny Bond to not only send your attacks, your enemy's attack right back at them, but it can also, if they knock Wobbuffet out, Destiny Bond will knock them out too. So Wobbuffet's definitely worth it competitively. Our next Pokemon is Girafarig, the long-neck Pokemon, a normal psychic type with the weaknesses to Bug and Dark type moves. Girafarig has no weaknesses, but as a normal psychic type, it gets rid of that ghost weakness that it has, you know, when it's just like a psychic type. It also gets rid of the fighting type weakness as well. And in all honesty, Girafarig's pretty decent, but I wouldn't put it on any team anytime soon. Our next Pokemon is Pineco, the Bagworm Pokemon, a bug type with the weaknesses to Fire, Flying, and Rock type moves. Pineco has one evolution, and that is Forretress, the Bagworm Pokemon, a bug steel type with the weakness with a 4 times weakness to fire, and that's it. Now, in all honesty, if you need a defensive wall, Forretress will do it for you. This guy's a beast. It's seriously, if you need something to just hold your team up while you revive a couple of people, Forretress can do it for you. All you have to worry about is a random fire attack. That's it. Our next Pokemon is Dunsparce, the land snake Pokemon, a normal type with a fighting type weakness. Dunsparce has no evolutions, and in all honesty, this little guy could be a lot better. And Game Freak had a lot of time to make it better, yet they choose not to. If there is going to be a Generation 7,